Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. When it comes to these women, they always give us something to talk about, especially, people's favorite fighter, Claressa Shields.
We talked about the after party. We talked about the, man, listen, all the celebrities that was in the house. Shout out to the baddest. Trina was in that mother. Trina? Y'all, we had Trina come outside, the baddest bitch. Oh my God, y'all, I couldn't breathe. When I seen Trina, I could have fainted in the back. I was like, oh, Trina. I can't wait to post our pictures. That is one of the girl. I was about 10, 11 years old singing, yeah, I'm the baddest bitch. Who's bad? Who's bad? Yeah, I know that nigga. Who can ride a dick like me? I was 10, 11 years old singing that shit. Had no business. And was not doing no type of riding or nothing at over 10, 11 years old. I ain't know nothing about it. Okay?
Y'all see why people keep talking about the two-time gold medalist? All that talent. Is she there doing a live? And that's what she's talking about. Now, I'm going to tell you this. For the men out there, guys say shit too. Guys say stuff. And there is a double standard. And it's not fair. But it exists. But when you hear stuff like that, it gets your attention. But nonetheless, I'll let you guys type in the comments what y'all think about Claressa and her talking about it. If she was excited to see somebody in the audience, cool. You don't need to come out there and be rapping the lyrics and talking about riding this and doing that. Tells me that maybe she's just out here again, controlling the internet and doing things just to get clicks and to get people to talk about her. But one thing people are still talking about is the Franchon Crews-Claressa Shields fight that took place. Now, many people thought that those two had kind of moved beyond the drama that had unfolded. But what we're finding out now is that, Franchon Crews hasn't moved beyond it. Franchon Crews is still pissed off about what happened with Claressa Shields and then her husband and all the drama. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that it was over myself, you know what I'm saying? But then I go out here and take a look, and I see that there's some drama. I want to show y'all what I'm talking about. I saw there was a little bit of drama, and I'm like, damn, is it ever going to end, you know what I'm saying? Right here. So let me do this. Make this a little bit larger for y'all. There's just always something. So Franchon says, my words was out of hurt and betrayal. We are not friends. They know what was done. You see, I said they weren't going to be friends. I said there's a lot of emotions running through both of them. The fight just ended. But I said, you can look and see in Franchon's face. She wasn't happy. And as a result, she gets on Twitter after saying, I love you to Claressa, and Claressa trying to apologize, and everybody thinking, oh, this is beautiful for the sport. The ladies have buried the hatchet. And then Claressa and Franchon are here on Twitter, and obviously Franchon hasn't moved beyond it, and Claressa has stuff to say. So what Claressa said, she's just like shaking my head at Franchon. Everything I said to you after the fight, I meant. I love you, I admire you, and I wish you and your family well. Now, we don't have to be friends. It's okay. Thank you for all you ever done for me. Bye. But then it comes down here. She's like, I don't care to be friends with these boxing bees no more. They're all weird to me. And then people come in here and just start taking jabs at Franchon. Listen, I can't even take it seriously. She just joined the hate train on me. She know I ain't no drug cheat, scared of needles, and she also know I didn't do anything to hurt her family. She can have it, though. Now, what's crazy about all that is Claressa Shields and Franchon Crews, that was supposed to be, the way they were hyping it up, the women's fight of the decade. The next Layla Ali, what Layla Ali and Ann Wolfe would have looked like. And it wasn't nothing close, because although we've never seen Layla Ali and Ann Wolfe fight each other, I think most of us know it would have been a more eventful outing than what we saw with Claressa and Franchon. So, who's controlling the narrative of women's boxing? Because Claressa is positioned as the most accomplished female fighter ever. And Franchon was supposed to be the grinder. But, I think a lot of us are still sitting back, and there's no longer a mystique about Claressa. There's definitely no mystique about Franchon and about that separation from Claressa and everyone else. I don't think people feel like it's a matter of trying to figure out how to beat Claressa. I think Franchon did show us. You got to put pressure on her, smother her, and Claressa's pretty ineffective. She can fight off the back foot, she can fight off the rope, but she's not that effective. So you need conditioning and stamina, something I talked about, to beat somebody like Claressa. And I said the conditioning and stamina was going to determine who won that fight. Claressa had better stamina, better conditioning, and she was able to keep the fight in the center of the ring for the majority of the fight and execute her game plan and strategy. Crews-Dezurn was just tired. Now, although that fight carried pressure, not only for both of the women, but the promoters, the broadcasters were trying to prove women's boxing can headline and hold attention without gimmicks, but we did get a lot of drama. But the bottom line, it was a good fight. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to foot stomp this, and I'm going to do more and more videos about this. Shadasia Green, she is the future of women's boxing. Watch Franchon, I watch Claressa. We know Claressa, we know what she can do. But I'm just telling you, man, when I think about Shadasia Green, you're talking about discipline. You're talking about IQ. You're talking about growth. And I think there's going to be more and more upcoming big fights for Shadasia Green. Now, I know she returns in April. We still don't know who she's fighting. I fully expect Shadasia to get in that ring and do the business. Now, we know what we saw with Claressa and Franchon and the brouhaha that took place at the weigh-in. With Shadasia, you ain't getting all that bullshit. You'll get some trash talk, but you ain't gonna get all that baddie/Zeus Network toxic craziness. Shadasia Green represents a new prototype. She's athletic, physically imposing, technically improving with every training camp, every fight. And this is what separates her hype, because she projects visible growth. So when you hear me talking about Shadasia, I know some people are hood just like Shadasia and Hannah Gabriels and Layla Ali. Now, I like all the female fighters. I like them all. I respect them all. But am I a little biased towards Shadasia? Yeah, I am. Because I look at the whole person concept. I look at everything about these fighters. And with Shadasia, again, that discipline, IQ, growth, she's educated, and she's getting better with every single training camp and every fight. She's not just winning, she's learning. And I'm telling you, anyone out there underestimating Shadasia Green or sleeping on Shadasia Green, people going to learn the hard way. She still hasn't proved to us that she can beat Claressa Shields if she gets the fight, but I'm just watching the movements. It's looking to me like Claressa Shields and her team are trying to put duck sauce on the fried rice, because they don't seem to be too adamant about making that fight. They talked, they mentioned Shadasia's name, but then they had Perkins call Shadasia out. We all know Shadasia ain't fighting Perkins for what? Shadasia moving up the ladder. She ain't trying to reverse. You know what I mean? She's looking for main event type fights. Perkins not a main event type fight. But I'm just saying, man, with Shadasia's jab placement, patience, ability to punch in between shots, to counterpunch, her body attack, everything has improved. And her conditioning has become a focus of her development. That conditioning is the only thing that would concern me with Shadasia. Because she has an idea of her conditioning and how good it is or how great it is or if it's subpar. And I have my idea when I watch these athletes. And I want to see Shadasia be able to get there and start letting them shots go from the first second of the first round all the way to the last second of the last round. But still look poised, still look composed, still look sharp. Now, unlike some stars who peak really early in their careers, Shadasia feels like a fighter still climbing, still with something to prove. And that's powerful because fans want to see evolution. They just want to see you get in the ring every time and just look the same, and like you've already plateaued. Nah, they want to see you come in there and showing that you can do different things and make corrections and adapt and evolve. That's Shadasia Green. She's the definition of evolution. She also carries herself like a professional. Disciplined, focused, not constantly in online beef. And she, again, I'm going to tell you, man, she's a collegiate athlete, a collegiate star. She's a graduate, a college graduate, and people need to understand that. And I'm going to keep pushing that out there because the women fighters, I still hear people hating on all the women fighters. And I kind of understand because when a couple of people I talk to, they're like, oh, these female fighters, they talk about Layla Ali. But Layla Ali's not fighting. And they're like, oh, well, you know, when she was fighting, I watched boxing, but now I don't watch it, female boxing, because there's no one out there. I'm like, what about Claressa Shields? And they don't have anything good to say about Claressa Shields. But for Shadasia, carrying herself like a professional, being disciplined, focused, not in all the drama, I'm telling you, man, she's the future of women's boxing. She's just got that style, strong, assertive, controlled. And I'm telling you, man, she gets better and better in every fight. It makes her marketable without needing controversy. And when she talks, she's well-spoken. And that's not a compliment. Actually, that can be really offensive. I'm just pointing that out because I don't think the expectation should be when it comes to minorities for them to speak with a whole lot of slang and improper grammar and just sound like a fool. So when you hear somebody who can articulate themselves and speak well, you shouldn't compliment them for that. But because it's offensive, I remember people saying things to me when I used to get up and do presentations and I'd MC different events. They would say, oh, you're so articulate, you're so well-spoken. And I'd be like, man, get the fuck out of here. You didn't say that to this guy over here, McNicholas. Why are you telling me that? You know, so. But I'm going to point it out because it's appreciated, especially when you see so many women, female boxers online, just not really caring to represent the sport well. And Shadasia has done a really good job to represent herself, her brand, and the sport well. And I think she's very marketable. She doesn't need to be the villain, need controversy to be marketable. I think she's marketable the way she is. But her future comes down, I think, to opposition. If she continues stepping up in competition, she becomes a bridge between skill and spectacle. And she already has 2 straps at 168. So she's a unified champion. And she's the kind of fighter promotions and networks can build around because she looks like a threat. She fights like a threat, and she doesn't rely on drama to stay relevant. You know what I mean? She lets her hands do the talking, and the bullshit can keep her walking. And I do believe Shadasia, for those reasons, that she's the future of women's boxing. Now, a lot of people are going to say, hey, yo, hold your horses, hood champion. Claressa Shields, she is women's boxing. She's the future of women's boxing. As long as she's actively participating in the sport, Claressa Shields is going to remain the face of women's boxing. But to that I say, in the most respectful way, hey, yo, you McNicholas, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. They got somebody out there named Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor versus Claressa Shields. I did a video about this the other day, but who comes out on top in a greatest woman of all time debate? Because Katie Taylor is a monster and Claressa Shields, she's good too, but they represent 2 forms of greatness. Katie Taylor's case, gold medalist, unified undisputed champion, huge international draw, fought in multiple classics, elevated women's boxing globally, She's associated with wars, adversity, and legendary rivalries. Her greatness comes from competition, quality, and moments. Now with Claressa Shields, papoose, pap, pap, brrr. She has 2 Olympic gold medals, she'll let you know. Multiple division champion, she did that. She's undefeated, rare dominance, never truly beaten, and her greatness comes from control and supremacy. So the debate becomes philosophical, because when you listen to that breakdown right there, it ain't really easy to pick one. That's why fans are divided. It's like Katie Taylor is the real GWOAT. And the others like, nah, Claressa Shields. Do you value longevity in wars? It's Katie Taylor. Because she's had longevity in the sport and she's had wars. And she's proven that she can do the business. Over Claressa, you just want dominance and titles. Let me tell you something. Boxing fans, cool if you're dominating, cool, but we want drama, not dominance. Because when you go and you dominate, that means that you factored in some advantage to your matchmaking. Yeah, I said it. That means most of these people have factored in some advantages to the matchmaking to make sure that they get in the ring and they can go out there and dominate. First 10 times you're like, all right, but now after a while you start saying, this person keep dominating like this, when they going to get fucking challenged? When you look at these other female fighters out here and you see them in fights where that's like, shit, there's some ebbs and flows here. When are we going to see that? So for Claressa Shields, I think she really needs that. All this control and supremacy shit, do that against Shadasia Green. Drop weight. Face Michaela Mayer. Let her come up and weight. Make some of these catchweight fights. Do that there. But do it against Shadasia Green. And we're going to know what's going on because right now, Katie Taylor, the vibe I get, she's the people's champion. Shields feels like she's the statistical champion. Got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And one's defined by rivalry, and the other by separation. And that's really an important thing to point out. Claressa Shields is more like a statistical champion when you look at numbers and metrics. Okay, got it. But when you look at Katie Taylor, the people love her. Everyone says positive things about Katie Taylor. They know she gets busy. I just wish there was a way where her and Claressa Shields could fight. But Katie Taylor, I think, is just too small. But boy, if they could fight, if they were in the same weight class, I put it to you this way. If they were in the same weight class, who you got winning? Because Claressa Shields would have her hands full, but so would Katie Taylor. Because Katie Taylor, like, if you hit her really good, she'll start dancing salsa in the ring. So I think that's why fans tend to flip-flop a little bit. Even rankings flip-flop. Because depending on whether fans prioritize emotional impact or technical dominance, I mean, that's kind of where they're going to land. Every day, man, you can sit there and flip-flop between Katie Taylor and Claressa Shields. Now, Alycia Baumgardner. There's a lot of talk about her. But, I mean, is she underrated or is she the next big star? Right, those are my questions. Is she underrated or is she the next big star? She has some very elite traits, man. Power, speed. She's got the swag. She's in really good shape, so she has a marketable look. And they're building her up to become the next face of women's boxing. They are building her up, but her issue is perception because people see her as flashy before they see her as proven. Now, I do like the fact that she just fought, I think it was 12 3-minute rounds in her last fight, so she deserves a lot of respect for that, but I'm listening to people and people like, they're not talking about her skill set. You know, they're talking more about the flash and the physique, but they're not really talking about the skill set. And as a result, I think she's a bit underrated. Now, they call her the bomb. Talks about her power, but some people say her power isn't respected enough. They say the resume isn't deep enough, and her name recognition trait trails her talent. Sometimes I think people are unfair towards Baumgardner because she can fight. You know, she can really fight. She has IQ. She has everything. She's another one who's very well spoken. You can tell that she comes from a lot of love. I hear talking about her parents. I know she lost a parent, and when I listen to them talk, man, you know, I feel those conversations for real. But I think for her to become a true star, she needs some signature wins. She needs that signature name. She needs that adversary. She needs that dancing partner. A high drama fight, a rivalry that forces fans to choose sides. Who could that be? And no, it ain't Claressa Shields. Caroline Dubois, Sweet Caroline. That is the fight for Alycia Baumgardner. Will that fight ever happen? Maybe down the road, but right now Baumgardner is kind of looking for main event fights, moving up the ladder, not lateral accomplishments, which is understandable because Caroline Dubois represents something that people need to worry about who's between 130 and 140 pounds. And Alycia Baumgardner can scrap. She's been doing this for a long time. Dubois is kind of the new kid on the block, but she can fight. So it's kind of hard to say that Caroline Dubois would just come and clip Baumgardner. I don't know if I want to just say that because Baumgardner is proven. But what I will say is, on paper, you know what I'm saying, looking at Baumgardner, she should win. But as far as in-ring performance and passing the eye test, Caroline Dubois is that chick. I put it to you like that. So the bottom line is Baumgardner has crossover potential, but boxing fans want proof. Without a defining victory, she stays talented. I think she really needs to have that dancing partner. But if she can get that partner, they can elevate themselves, man. She goes on to, like, you know, legendary status, man. But she's standing right on the cusp of really being in the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano discussions. Because those two ladies had each other, and boy, what they did for each other's career, it was just amazing. I think Claressa's and Shadasia are going to be able to do that for each other. And I think Caroline Dubois and Baumgardner are going to be able to do that for each other. But it really doesn't matter what I think because the women are going to do what they want. Because it seems to me that the GOAT debate is always going to be out there. But I tell you one thing for sure. If they can make these fights I just talked about, the Green and Shields, Dubois and Baumgardner, I 100% believe those ladies are going to elevate themselves. And I think there'll be a trilogy. I think fans will demand a trilogy. But it's for the fighters to demand to fight each other. If they don't do that, we don't get to fight. So it is what it is. Anyway, y'all keep cool in the breeze.